owners are so busy with complex money management issues in their enterprises that they have little time for personal management. One of our favorite experts, Bob Hardcastle, is here today. Bob?
It's a pleasure to be here again.
Thanks. It's good to have you, as always. Bob's an award-winning and nationally recognized financial consultant, radio host, and author, here to give us pointers from his new book, Money Minutes. So, Bob, tell us, what kind of questions do you hear most often from small business people?
You know, there's so much in common between small business owners, large business owners, even individuals. But what we hear most from small business owners is, what can I do to better understand how much money I've got left over at the end of the month? Isn't that about the same thing you say to your wife?
Absolutely.
You know, so, I mean, expenses are extremely important. That's one thing we should cover. Another thing that we cover is what I call perks. How do you pay all the bills, keep your employees, and keep your employees happy? Two different things there. Keeping employees who work at a job compared to keeping your employees who work at a career can be handled better with better perks. And your perks might be your 401k plan, even though most companies are not offering a pension now, with a pension or with life insurance benefits. These are things that really make people feel comfortable. Now, naturally, if you're not going to have a pension, if you're not going to have life insurance, you want to have a 401k, and to really help your employees, you need to match. So with small company owners, you really want to do things that maybe the big companies don't do. Put perks into the situation. Now, we can look at perks for all kinds of things. What about a gasoline card every month for $25 or $50?
Especially with gas at $4 a gallon.
It's unbelievable, and your employees will really appreciate that. What about car detailing their car once a year? Nothing wrong with that. What about maybe a function where everybody goes out in the company? Again, I'm talking about small business owners, 30 people, 15
Sure.
people, maybe 5 people. But maybe they go out one night, you have dinner, or you have a picnic, or you go to the art museum, or you go to botanical gardens or something like that. But you're together on a social level, and the company pays for everything. These are perks that, in my opinion, are extremely important and help the small business owner get more from their employees. And their employees feel like they're a bigger part of the company.
And it seems like retaining quality employees is more important if you've only have, as you said, 30 employees as opposed to 3,000. You need to keep those good workers.
Yeah. You waste so much time training people to be able to leave the office and go do what you want to do, and know that those employees that are back there protecting you and protecting the company and doing the right thing, that's invaluable.
And you don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. As you said, a lot of times owners won't want to spend the money to do things like the social, outings or some of the benefit programs. But in the long term, that's an investment in your company, and it pays off.
It keeps your employee. What I think the business owner needs to do, especially the small business owner, is keep an ear out and listen to what their employees are saying. Anything that they might pick up that's a negative doesn't mean that that person is negative. It may be something like, oh, boy, the traffic was terrible. There's no telling how much gas I used today. That has nothing to do with the company, but you know what? You can make it easier when they think, hey, the boss paid for that gas. That's a pretty good deal.
Right.
I've got a great boss. Those are the kind of things that I call perks.
Now, as CEO of Delta Investments, you work with individuals, you work with small companies, you work with large companies. What sort of common money problems do you see, and then what sort of money problems are unique perhaps to small business?
I think the most common between the big companies and the small companies is what I mentioned earlier, the expenses. What is the bottom line? With a big company, it's very difficult, and it takes longer usually to get to the bottom line than a small company. If you have 1 or 2 employees, you can get to that bottom line real quick. But you know what? Even with that, many people don't. They say, well, let's see, we got this much coming in. I think I got that much going out. We're making some money. We're paying the bills. I can sleep at night. That's not what to do. You've got to go into real detail. And whether you're involving your company CPA or someone that works for your company and it's a big company, you've got to get the detail on those expenses so you know, hey, you know what, I do have some additional money left over for perks. And if you don't have additional money left over for perks, there's still some other things you can do. Maybe give your employees 10 minutes a day to make phone calls, or 10 minutes in the morning to do this or to do that, or take a walk around the building. There's still things that you can do for your employees that don't cost money.
It sounds like creativity might be the key for some of those things. Think outside the box. A lot of companies say no internet time, and so employees end up sneaking it on the side.
Yeah.
If you came out and said, okay, to start your day, 15 minutes, do all your errands, make your phone calls, get that done, and then get down to work.
Sometimes we're called mavericks when we think outside the box, but I really believe that the business owner who is a maverick, who can think outside the box, really gets the job done better, quicker, and their employees and their clients are more satisfied.
Now, as we know, a lot of small businesses are family-owned businesses. What sort of advice do you have for a family-owned business?
I think one of the things we need to do on a family-owned business is to make sure we bring up continuously about continuing. What's going to happen I call it, what's going to happen if? What's going to happen if Bob is no longer here? What happens if Dad, Grandpa, is no longer here? What's going to happen? And we need to talk. And we not only need to talk to the family, but we have to bring it up to the employees too, because the employees are concerned. Well, I still have a job if Bob's not here anymore. Mm-hmm. So you bring and you involve the whole company. I think the what if is really very, very important. That's a big issue. Another issue when you're family owned is, what do you pay the rest of the family? Does your daughter earn the same thing that your son does if she's doing one thing and he's doing another? Or what about your wife? Maybe your wife is the one running the business and you're helping the wife. Should you get the same earnings as the wife? You really have to sit down and figure this thing out, because in the long run, as I tease everybody, my wife says, our money is her money. My money is her money, and someday, with the mortality table saying I'm going to pass away before my wife, all the money is going to be my wife's money. So we need to know what's going to happen with that money, and we see many, many times where if proper estate planning, proper business continuity isn't taken care of, great tax problems that could be avoided by planning ahead along the way.
So good succession and estate planning.
Right, together.
Okay, now the new book again is Money Minutes. Give us one tip. If you had to pick out your top tip out of Money Minutes, what is it?
You mean for everybody?
For everybody.
Well, the top tip is, if you can take 2 minutes a day and spend it reading Money Minutes, because we have 379 pages. We have 350 money minutes. So, in 1 year, almost, you can go through the book. But again, if we can just learn a little bit every day about the investment market, whether we're, reading Money Minutes or whatever, I think it's extremely important, because we cover estate planning, businesses, individuals, child education, systematic savings, all aspects of insurances, long-term care, life insurance, disability. What I've been doing for 44 years in the investment field, I tried to put into 350 one-page to 1 1/4 page Money Minutes, and I think it will help your viewers.
Great. Bob Hardcastle, CEO of Delta Investments. There's so much more to talk about on this topic, and you'll find plenty of segments from Bob on SBTV.com under the Money heading, or on Bob's website at www.moneytalk.org. Thanks for joining us on SBTV.com, where small business is our only business.